going to call to order the Planning and Zoning Commission, Local Planning Agency meeting for May 12th, continued to May 19th. We'll start with an invocation and a pledge, and then we'll have the roll call. So we'll start off with everybody please rise. Heavenly Father, we ask a blessing on our meeting tonight. Give us the wisdom to make good decisions as we pass those decisions on to the board so that they can continue moving forward in our city. We ask a blessing on all those here. Keep them safe. We appreciate them coming out. Appreciate our staff for the job that they're doing during this time to keep everybody informed and still keep everybody safe. We ask a blessing on all of our military, wherever they are in the world. Lord, keep them safe and bring them home to us. We ask a blessing on our first responders and our doctors and nurses and all those others that are out there right now, so that those people who can stay home can stay home. So with all that, we ask that all in your name. Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right. And with that, we'll ask for a roll call. So, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Chair Keller.
Present.
Vice Chair Williams.
Present.
Member Lomnick.
Present.
Member Forges.
Present.
Member Mellon is absent, excused. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. All interested parties are invited, just a sort of a note I should say before I start that, all interested parties are invited to be heard during the public hearing portion of these meetings. Due to the current state of emergency regarding COVID-19, City Hall is closed to the public. However, the city requests the public to call or email comments and or questions to 407-554-7118 or citizens@ocoee.org, and that information should be on the screens behind me and on the side, and I'm assuming that they're also on the television screen there for you to have that number and that email address. And with that, we'll move to the consent agenda. And can I get an approval for the minutes for the March 10th, 2020 meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second that.
Motion by Member Lombeck, second by Vice Chair Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Carries. Okay, old business, we have none. New business. First one on the agenda there is the Comfort Inn Mainstay Suites. However, the applicant has requested that this item be continued to the June 9th meeting. So I would need a motion to continue the large-scale preliminary final site plan for project LS 2020-07 to June 9th Planning and Zoning meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Member Lombeck. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Member Vice Chair Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. Now we come to the ones that we're on for tonight. And the first one on there is the Prairie Lake subdivision. This is a public hearing. I'd like to introduce Development Service Director Mike Rummer. And Mike, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, this is a preliminary and final subdivision plan for the Meritage Homes Prairie Lake subdivision. The property is located on the northeast corner of Clark Road and A.D. Mims Road. As you see, it is a piece of property that's currently under ownership of the city of Ocoee. Meritage Homes is under contract to purchase the property from the city, and as part of the contractual steps is seeking government approvals for such. The property does have, you can see a little finger that does go around another piece. The property is located in the, let me just go over the aerial. It's forested. You have Ocoee Vista Parkway that runs between it and the Prairie Lake Reserve Townhomes. There is a tract as part of the Prairie Lake PUD and plat that created a tract of land that the city of Ocoee has ownership of to create a future extension of the road to access the property to the rear in the future. as I said, it's a part of the Prairie Lake PUD, which extends from 80 Mins basically up to Hackney Prairie, both sides of the road. We have a fire station right across the road. The tract is, under the PUD, was a commercial tract. Under our comprehensive plan in commercial and in light industrial, if you do a mixed-use development, you can have forms of medium and high density. So as the parcel is going to contain the existing C2 that is owned by a different entity and maintain a portion along the front, as you'll see in the plan as commercial, that will create the mixed-use development, sort of like the Weston Bay commercial up on Ocoee, Apopka, and West Road, where you have the 4 lots with the Dunkin' Donuts and then the residential homes behind it. It's the same philosophy. So we have a preliminary and final subdivision plan. These are engineered documents that at the end of the process, city staff will stamp approved for construction. There are no other steps after this phase. They are proposing 78 townhome lots, consist of a mix of 6-unit building and a 4-unit buildings. The exterior units will be 24 feet wide. The interior units will be 20 feet wide. The interior living area, as you can see, minimum square foot of 1,500 livable square feet. The internal streets will be private. It's proposed to be developed in one phase, and the access point, there's one access point on Ocoee Vista Parkway. So this is the, come on, get there. Get my mouse to catch up with me. There we go. This is the remnant piece that the city will own that's commercial, then we have commercial up front. They will access Ocoee Vista Parkway through a private gated access, the rear. They are supplying a secondary emergency access. We have something similar in a couple subdivisions that they work with the fire department and get a crash-proof lock so it's stabilized so they can go through there. They will also, as part of this, be constructing the public road along the rear to this point, creating a cul-de-sac. The subdivision has 2 amenity areas, one here, one here. It will have an internal sidewalk that'll ring the inside. It'll have a pedestrian access for that sort of mixed-use pedestrian access to the commercial via a gate here. This is very similar to the townhome development and the retail also along State Road 50 where the 2J's and the Chipotle is. You go right behind it to the townhomes. They have a direct gated access. The amenity center has park features to it and a tot lot, and then they have more than this amenity is more open space usable, but not designated with a swing or anything like that. Here's a blow up of sort of the amenities and the landscaping. There's a retention pond on the north side of the parcel, adjacent to the road. This access lines up with the Prairie Lake Reserve Subdivision's access directly across. You can sort of see the end of the bullnose of that access point. The lot layouts, again, the exteriors are 24 foot, the interiors are 20-foot townhome units. They'll have open space in between them. To blow up more of what the tot lot, picnic table, pavilion they'll have, and then you have the more passive area at the more southeastern end. So they'll have 2 tot lot areas. This is the sort of pavilion. The fence they'll have a precast wall and mostly a decorative fence with columns. I think I did the columns are going to have some of the faux brick on it that I picked the wrong one. That looks like it's all stucco, but it has faux brick which will match the entrance to the subdivision, have a little bit of upgraded look. Now with that, I want to go back and explain The Prairie Lake subdivision, which includes the commercial here, this commercial, the townhomes, it does not include this vacant parcel where we're providing future access to. It's out. These townhomes, single family, all these subdivisions are part of the Prairie Lake PUD, Plan Unit Development. And back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when that PUD was approved, that PUD dedicated the right-of-way for Clark Road, the full width to encompass a 4-lane divided Clark Road, of which they constructed 2 lanes, and the inside curb of the median. All of those improvements they did vested the project for trips. This parcel, as shown, is allotted 120,000 square feet of commercial and the trips that are associated with that. So in essence, by sort of downzoning the parcel partially from commercial to 74 units, which are those 74 units will create 150 daily trips, as opposed to the 1,000 trips. Now, there's still some commercial there, but because this specific use was not commercial, was a downzoning, and the trips are vested, we did not do a traffic study. The traffic study will come when the commercial comes in for development, and if this parcel ever comes in, it'll have to do a full traffic study. We are working to get the west 2 lanes of Clark Road done as part of the Arden Park. We're working with them to development agreement to extend it to the south, the design and engineer. But that is not on the books right yet. I say that is there's a comment from the public that was emailed that talks about safety of access, and more specifically talks about the needing a right turn lane going into Ocoee Vista Parkway. We recently did a signal retiming of all the signals on Clark from 50 up to Claricone Ocoee, adjusted signals, and are working to try to get that 4-laning. The 4-laning tapers off just past Ocoee Vista Parkway right here. Mm-hmm. So to get that 4-laning done, and we would look at Clark Road to see if we need to add any, with that work, any decel lanes. But with this project, 74 townhomes, small project, actually de minimis trips, we did not require a traffic study to look at the impacts because there's a lot of trips vested. We will look at, now it's allowed 125,000 square feet of commercial. You're not going to achieve that really on 6 acres, but we will look at the type of commercial development in the future and see what that trip generation is and look at the decel lane, if not already before when we do the full widening of Clark Road. It is connecting to the city's water and sewer. They're constructing the public road to the rear. They're providing emergency access. You have elevations in the plan. I don't think I put an elevation on here. Again, this is a subdivision for 74 lots. When they amended the PD, so the Prairie Lake PUD has an allotment of single family and townhomes and commercial, and they haven't used nearly the amount of townhomes which are permitted. So they kind of we did an amendment to the PUD, a non-substantial, because they were not introducing a new use to the PUD, they're just moving the uses around. We did a non-substantial amendment to the PUD to change this tract C to allow 80 townhomes, I think, more than what they're proposing. So they didn't achieve the lot number we amended the PD to by a couple of lots. So with that, entertain any questions, and the applicant is here, and we have someone manning. We do have 2 emails that need to be read in to the record, and we have someone manning the phone, and I'll check while that's going on.
Okay.
We did have a phone call last meeting,
Yeah.
kind of waiting, and then we told him, please call back. I talked to him, but I said, please call back, and he's one of the emails, I think.
Okay.
So.
So any questions before we ask for the applicant to come up and introduce himself?
Chairman, I do have one question. It's not specifically about the project itself, but it was about you showed, and I missed it by the time I looked up, that there's a parcel to the east, I think it
Yes.
is, that is, well, can you show that again? That's all, I just
Okay.
missed that.
So yes. This
That one,
parcel to the
okay.
east is bifurcated by the railroad.
Right,
It, actually, there's several parcels. There's this big one, and you can't see clearly, but there's one, two, there's a little triangle, there's two little triangles. There's more parcels that go all the way over to this road. It's all under one ownership. I've talked to people that are looking to develop. Presently, it accesses, it's owned by this church, which is up on the other side of the railroad track. There's a little driveway right here that you can physically cross to get into the property, but it's not sufficient for a new development.
Okay.
And it would not ever be given that, right, that's already been looked at and discussed with the railroad years ago. So that access point would be via Ocoee Vista Parkway. That's why we, as part of this, we had the developer dedicate this land for a future road extension. And there's also the opportunity, that there's some wetlands here, but there is the opportunity to tie in up here. And so,
and
if this parcel, or when it ever wants to develop,
Mhm.
there's the opportunity to have two access points, depending on what it is, how many lots. We may do a emergency to the rear or both access points. It's just, there's some wetlands up there and floodplain. We gotta see how that works out, so.
Okay, thank you.
Additional questions? I just have one, and back of my mind, and maybe I'm thinking of it wrong, just when we were looking at the school going in there, I vaguely remember in the back of my mind, someone saying about the road being private. Like, once it passed the fire station,
Yeah,
it
no,
became
it's-
a private road or something like that?
Yeah.
Is that not?
It's
Okay.
not correct,
All right, because that was the only thing in the back of the head was like, well, how can we do this if
Yes.
there's a private road? But, okay, so
yeah.
that.
I can't zoom in, but, that reminded me of the Prairie Lake Reserve. Up to a couple years ago, they just developed this phase back here, and they actually took the units, these were 18-foot wide, and they made them larger, and so they didn't reach their capacity for this phase. And so just kind of showing how there's townhome units available that
Yeah.
are not throughout the PUD.
All right. So before we open the public hearing, let's introduce the applicant. If you'd like to come up and say anything, the applicant here, Mike, to
Yes.
say anything, or?
Where do you want me?
Come on over to the public mic and introduce yourself, name and address, and,
Well, embarrassingly, I'm gonna have to give you my home address because I can't remember my new one. Jeremy Camp with Meritage Homes, and my address is 2203 Montana Street, Orlando 32803.
all righty. And,
We've got our engineer with Madden, and Bill Mackey with Daily Design Group, and then Jeff Stoller also with Meritage.
all right. And so, any additional questions for the developer or anything?
No, going back to Clark Road, Mike, you said the road right now, there will be no alteration to Clark Road for this project,
Correct,
but only in the future.
yes.
So no curb cuts or anything like that?
It's 4-lane up past here, and it tapers back just past here.
Yeah,
And so there's not a designed or engineered plan to do a right turn decel lane at this point.
okay.
We are working to get this 4-laning done through a development agreement that could speed up the process. And with that design, they would go all the way to the intersection. They would design it, engineer it, and then for
Okay.
the west 2 lanes in the median.
So eventually there'll be a curb cut going into, to make that right turn if you're heading north.
So if either commercial piece comes in,
Mm-hmm.
that would be evaluated to do a decel lane and a curb cut to get their access points.
Okay,
For this subdivision, there is not, there's just the existing access on Ocoee Vista Parkway.
it's not necessary, well, there was no studies done, but it's not
Right.
necessary for
Well-
75 homes.
Clark Road was developed 4-lane past this point, with the ability to do 125,000 square foot of commercial.
Correct, that's what it
And the
merges.
townhomes.
Yeah, it merges
So-
on the left.
And so when the commercial came in, if it exceeded 125,000 square feet, it would have to do a full traffic study because that was not contemplated in the PUD. If it comes in under 125,000 square feet, and the trips that that generates, which is 1,400 daily trips, you look at the impacts of that. This portion being really a de minimis, 8 acres, 74 units of townhome resident, creates such a low trip generation, there was no need to look for any traffic study implementation.
All right, anything else for the applicant or applicant, anything you would like to add to the?
No, we'll be here if you need, and
All
if
right.
you got questions.
All righty.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, I'm gonna open up the public hearing. And I'll start off by reading the 2 emails that we've gotten, and then if we get any phone calls, we can go to those. First one is a question from Brianne Massage, I believe it is. My question is, will there be a proper turning lane coming into Ocoee Vista Parkway from North Clark Road? The turn right now is scary due to traffic levels of the lane merging from 2 to 1 lane right after the turn. It's not safe. So sincerely concerned Prairie Lake Reserve resident. And I think, Mike, that was part of
That's
what
why
you
I kind of
addressed.
addressed that, yes.
But, yeah. But at this point, no, because it's already been grandfathered in with what we have.
Yes.
Is basically the answer to that. Just my own comment on that, being someone who drives that every day and watching that, I can see where their concern is, and while may not be necessary right now, it probably wouldn't hurt to seriously consider putting a turn lane in there, because it's definitely, just coming home at night and coming down that road, I'm amazed there hasn't been any more accidents than there have been, and I'm also amazed, not sort of off the subject, but that first left-hand turn into the development across the street there,
Yes.
with no turning lane, that one also creates a nightmare and probably should be a right out only, and that median should
Right,
go
right out.
all the way through, since I don't think the fire station uses that either. I think the fire station's further down, so that first one.
It's right across from it's right, it fronts Ocoee Vista Parkway.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's, all right, second one. This question is, this is from Joe Fana, if I'm pronouncing your last name right there, Joe. If not, I apologize. Question is in regards to the Prairie Lake subdivision case for the meeting May 12th. I have been a resident of Prairie Lake Reserve for over 10 years and live in the community across from the proposed townhome community on Ocoee Vista Parkway. I have concerns with there being only one entrance for this neighborhood on Ocoee Vista Parkway. With over 150 existing townhomes and an additional 78 being built, in addition to the fire department substation at the entrance of Ocoee Vista Parkway, how will Ocoee ensure traffic will be safe exiting and entering on Clark Road? I know that is in the master plan to have the road widened, but there is an immediate need and concern. At Ocoee Vista and Clark, heading north, it begins to go down to 1 lane, and cars are slowing up to turn right onto Ocoee Vista with no turn lane built on Clark for Ocoee Vista. Also, cars are playing chicken with others leaving Ocoee Vista, making a left southbound onto Clark. With the additional 78 units, it will only exacerbate the issue until Ocoee deals with the issue on Clark. In my opinion, the project should not move forward until these issues are addressed. There are so many issues from the intersection from AD Mims to Ocoee Vista on Clark Road. Thank you for your consideration. All right, and with that, we'll sort of give it, I think the plan was we should give it 3 minutes.
Yes, if you announce the public hearing,
Yeah, so,
Kathy will start.
yeah, so since we have opened the public hearing at this point, we'll give it 3 minutes. I think there's a clock there that's going to wind down, so we'll see if anybody calls in at that time. Again, the number that you can call in is 407-554-6600. 7118, or if you send an email to citizens@ocoee.org. And I think they flipped that back out behind me there again, so you should see those numbers. So if you do have interest in calling in, please do so, and we'll give you some time to do that.
Can I ask a question still?
Certainly.
Cool. So how come you may have answered this, Mike, already, but why didn't they put a secondary entrance on 80 MEMS where you're thinking the future road's gonna wind over?
The railroad track, the crossing, getting a railroad crossing from the,
Gotcha.
that was pre-planned as part of the Prairie Lake PUD.
So you can't cross over a railroad track as an entrance?
It's the amount of crossings that they have and that they will fund or maintain
Yeah.
goes into that.
Gotcha.
So there's a possibility that there'll never be an access point along that
Correct.
area.
Will not, yes.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's why it's either gonna have to be to that,
Mhm.
if they open that other area, then it would then either be to the east
Right.
or,
But the railroad's
or
still
turning, well, yeah, but there's sort of, it would go along that and would go into that other subdivision that's there, and then they have an entrance into, what that crosses AD Mims.
Mhm.
So you're gonna have to have an exit out there and probably an exit onto Ocoee Vista. in order-
And that property is wetland, correct?
There's wetlands down definitely within this portion right here.
Okay.
You can squeeze a road up this way.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that's private property?
The
Right
land
uh,
now,
touching the, is it
That
log
corner there.
jam?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
wetland,
there's- Yes,
it is.
and it has enough frontage to do a, road access with a correct radius.
Okay. And that's within city limits, right?
Yes. We annexed the property to the rear, back here as part of we annexed the church and did some stuff with them. We annexed this, but we didn't give it a zoning at the time.
Okay.
Didn't want to have to, so it's in the city, but it doesn't have a zoning. It's owned by the church, doesn't pay taxes.
yeah. All right, we've just got a few seconds left, and then we'll close the public hearing.
So you can
You don't get
eventually
anybody?
make that commercial as well?
It is, it's a tough location. If you're looking at, this is commercial,
Right.
this is commercial C2. There's a commercial node right here, and there's another one up just on the north side of Hackney Prairie.
Right.
Yeah.
The days of those little neighborhood commercial, who's
Corner
developing those little 2-unit retail with a,
Yeah.
so you've got Silver Star Road, which has, in Clark, that commercial node.
Correct.
All 4 corners has empty space. Maybe the Publix doesn't, but everything else
Yep.
has empty space. And now you have new commercial at West Road that has a Publix shopping center and Strip. It's got some empty space. You're starting to get at the corner of Apopka Vineland and Clarecone Ocoee in the rural settlement. You've got a tire, an auto zone, and the Wawa's looking to go in there. The viability of this is commercial until things change. I don't know what
Yeah, I was
it's ever gonna become.
I'd be surprised.
Probably some sort of an office in the future as things start to fill in and the rural nature of this area really starts to go away, the suburban rural nature.
It'd be nice to put like a little medical center, like
Yes,
doctor's
that's-
office, or one of those care
Right.
care centers where people can stop in.
Urgent care.
Especially with as many residents as you have in that area, I would think
Right.
that one of those urgent cares would actually do rather well in there. All right, at this point, the time has run out. Is there any, were there any calls or did we receive any emails?
We didn't receive any emails.
Okay, so at this time, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back up to the dais. Are there any more questions? Hearing none, we only need one motion for this particular project. So can I have a motion to recommend either approval or disapproval of a large-scale preliminary final subdivision plan for project LS-2020-02?
I'll make that motion.
All right, there is a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion by Member Lomnick, and we have a second by Vice Chair Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and that's carried. Okay. Thank you all.
Just out of curiosity, how many meetings have y'all had like this?
This is the
We've had
first
two city
one for us.
commission, one first P and Z.
Yeah, first P and Z. Yeah,
Well done.
thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda, the Ocoee Village Center. The Allure at Ocoee Village is public hearing, preliminary final large-scale subdivision plan. And once again, Development Service Director Mike Rummer.
All right, I'm hoping, I don't remember, I did this over almost a week and a half ago, I'm trying to see if I can find a slide at best. So to kind of bring back to where we started, previous to this Planning and Zoning Commission, I believe, it was back when we had more members, there was a, this land was zoned R1AA. This is R1AA, this had a commercial in the county, and this was, or was it all R, it was all residential, all, okay. We did a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment to amend to medium, high-density retail along the front, retail node here, and medium density for townhomes. There's a realignment of this road, Lakewood, above Fuller's Cross, is county maintained presently, and this little jog is county maintained. This plan, this overall plan unit development called Ocoee Village Center will provide a roundabout at Fuller's Cross and a realigned and widened Lakewood, which will curve and meet geometrically at this intersection. So the road will curve. This will all be turned over to the city of Ocoee. We will vacate portions of the road. We will keep access to these units. As part of that large-scale comprehensive plan amendment and rezoning to PUD, there was a school concurrency mitigation required. About the time, right before we went to city commission, a new law passed on dealing with impact fees and how the Orange County School Board mitigates capacity enhancement, and it's tied to impact fees, and you can't require impact fee payment until permit issuance, and there was some tie-in to the mitigation being sort of tied to impact fees. So the school board stopped doing capacity enhancements agreements. They still have not proceeded forward. So this case is kind of, it was approved by the city commission and this planning and zoning commission, subject to that CEA. They're still working out the details of that CEA with Orange County, and he's, the developer, Rick Wolfarth, is going forward with a preliminary and final engineering on the aspects of the development. So we're taking it to this point. We've got a hold. We can't go to commission. We're hoping to take a nice package in June, maybe July, of the recording that ordinances and the final site plans all together for these phases. We're going to start from the north. So we have the Allure Apartments, which are going to be on the north. You have another item, which is the southeast retail, and then you have the townhomes as the third item. This whole area is within the interchange character area. We have a zoning overlay, which has a vision for pedestrian-friendly, higher architecture, connectivity, public open space that covers these parcels and the parcels to the west. It's surrounded by the Forest Lake Golf Course on the east side. For this section, you have the 429. These residential lots are still in unincorporated Orange County. There's a number of, this is your true block structure, grid system. The plan you will see when we get to the townhomes provides 2 extensions of these public roads through the development. So now these residents can now access Lakewood, they can access shopping, they can access a public park without having to get on Clairco and Ocoee. So true bicycle and pedestrian access. The apartments, you'll see a theme that goes up. The whole area will have, under the phase 1, will have an identifier through walls and entranceways that keep the same theme. You'll know you arrived at a planned development, and it'll all have the same theme to that. And I'll let the applicant kind of expand upon that a little bit more. So what are we looking at today? We're looking at, these are the Allure Apartments. It's a preliminary and final subdivision plan located on the northern part. In the plan unit development, this will be lots. As part of the PUD, we required a hotel site to be located on this end. Let me see if I can show it better. A hotel, and then we have retail with the buildings closer to Ocoee Road. The properties, all the properties are highly vegetated, have planted pines on them. You'll see this is the zoning. The maps haven't officially changed. We haven't recorded those ordinances until they get the CEA, so it's still showing all the R1A. So the Allure Apartments, what is being proposed? As per the plan unit development, 320 unit multifamily apartment housing development. There's 4 apartment buildings containing 80 units in each one. A 10,000 square foot clubhouse will anchor a pool and the other amenities. There's 4 garages for covered parking, a dog park. The apartments, as part of the PUD, we required 4-story urban apartments, so it has less 2- and 3-story units than what a normal garden apartment design would have. This is very more similar to the apartments we have on Blueford behind the racetrack, the Oasis. The development is proposed, the apartments and all the infrastructure throughout the whole project will be done in phase 1 with large landscape buffers, and there's Commissioner Keller, as we did with the Scorman, they know there's no wall. The city's not responsible for putting up a sound wall. We've connected, so we'll get an Orange County right-of-way use permit to enhance the intersection at Ocoee. This is the State Road 429 where you go on to the on-ramp, and you've got to go south, you go left. We have this boulevard with landscape islands. We'll have soldier form palm trees leading up this boulevard to the amenity center. You have the apartment buildings. These apartments even have on the ground floor, they act like little condos. They've got their own little backyard area. The PUD, again, had a hotel site right here along the 429, and it has restaurant, retail uses, 3 other ones besides the hotel. If the retail builds out and the hotel site stays stagnant and for some reason we can't get a hotel, if they ever want to change the use, they've got to come back through the process. The only sort of potential non-amendment to the PUD is we may move the hotel over to this side if some things happen with the golf course in the future. There's some buildable land and it may tie in, but otherwise any removal of the hotel will go through the large scale substantial amendment to the PD process. There is a clubhouse, this large stormwater, they're in the Lake Apopka, they're in the Wekiva study area, lots of open space, lots of stormwater requirements to remove phosphorus from going into Lake Apopka. We have a dog park associated here. The applicant is also working with our utilities department to bring reclaim from the site here. Beritage, who was just here on a previous application, is developing a townhome development across the 429. This applicant will bring the reclaim under the 429 and connect it to the golf course as a separate, it's not a mitigation, it's just a separate, hey, will you help us? It will work through you. So he's bringing reclaim to the area. This is kind of showing the buffer along the 429, heavily landscaped throughout. Some others, and I'll let the applicant maybe show a little bit more on how he's creating a sense of place with this Ocoee Village Center theme. So with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Are there any questions before we go to the public hearing?
I like it.
And part of that, he's bringing, so from the Montessori school, he's got to run sewer and water up this new, all the way to this. So it will now have water and sewer, so those properties that are on the west side, over here, will now have water and sewer capability, connection. So this is now open up. This side, as part of the interchange overlay, is envisioned to have more of those block neighborhoods like this, kind of going. And so, as you'll see with the townhomes, there's a public park, but he's bringing water and sewer and a public lift station all the way up, now providing the opportunity for everyone to connect to and annex into the city and develop out. That's kind of been the inhibitants on developing this area. You have it's more farms and mobile homes because there's no water and sewer available for them. So with that, I'll entertain any questions.
So I do have two questions, and I'm not sure whether it would be for staff or the applicant. Do you want me to
I'll
wait?
take a shot at it first,
Okay.
and I'll
Okay.
defer.
So the two things, one is about walls, the other one is about access. The first part about the walls, did I understand you right, that there will be barrier walls, but they'll be themed and they'll
As-
have a certain
As
look
part
and
of our
character to
conditions of
them?
approval, we will have a note that says the city is not responsible for will not construct, and is not responsible for constructing the sound walls along the 429.
Oh, with the 429.
Yes, the 429.
So the communities themselves, which leads to my second question, the community themselves will be open because there's commercial on the front, so there
Yes.
won't be walls there.
There will be an entrance wall at the intersection here. At the
Okay,
intersection of, if I can find it. Oh, that plan shows. If not, I know Rick probably has so at the intersection, there'll be this wall, decorative wall that has the Ocoee Village name as an
Okay.
entrance feature.
like a knee wall?
Knee
kinda?
wall going up
Okay.
to yes. So
Okay,
that's decorative and just creating that sense of place.
yeah.
With a new, and what I started to say was you can see this pattern, pedestrian crosswalk is very highly emphasized on the Clerico and Ocoee at the signalized intersection, which will tie into wide sidewalks, 8-foot sidewalks going into this area and then down along Lakewood Avenue.
Okay.
So.
The other thing regarding access, I couldn't remember or missed if you said this. Are they going to be gated residential areas or non-gated?
Non-gated.
Non-gated.
For this
okay.
apartment, the apartment might be, it's not vacant, okay, yeah. So this is, the public road will extend up to this point. This will be the
Okay.
extension of Lakewood Avenue. And then beyond this, it's in the apartments, but they're not gating it.
Okay,
Yes. And there'll be a ring road that goes, you can see part of the road that comes back here behind the commercial. So
Mhm.
you'll enter in and you'll enter into the commercial from the rear.
okay.
Okay, additional
So-
questions?
Yeah. So given that this is phase one of this project, correct, which is north of
Well,
Ocoee,
it's,
correct?
I just started from the north and went south. I probably maybe
Okay.
should have went south to north. So phase
Okay.
one will be the construction of the road, running the
Infrastructure, okay.
utilities,
Okay,
all the infrastructure, the apartments, a couple of the next item I'll talk about, and then phase one of the townhomes.
okay, well, that was my concern
Yes,
because
I'll show.
are we gonna have infrastructure before we get over?
Everything's getting there, yes.
Okay, all
Everything's
right.
going there,
Okay.
yes.
What, is there any kind of, is there any kind of footpath or anything like that going across that, where it crosses 429 to go over to the Publix area and everything? like
No,
that?
there is, as part of the golf course, no, there's not a tunnel available. No, there's a sidewalk.
Right,
Yeah, there is a sidewalk. And the golf course has a tunnel that they go under, somewhere back here, they go under the 429, but no, it would be going this way.
so there would be,
As part of the PD,
West
this
Road.
envisions a future, this road gets vacated because the alignment comes here. And in this property, we're hoping to get a grocer. But that's sort of the Sprouts and the Lucky's are not expanding. I've been to, the commercial is being developed by Conover South. And I've been at ICSC, International Council of Shopping Centers, shows in Vegas and in Orlando with them, meeting with them and showing the site. So it's actively being marketed. We've sent a lot of phone call prospective hotels. The one that's going on 50, we first showed him this because we know that was a sure thing. This market is getting there with the rooftops and the commercial to get a hotel. It's just nothing's bit right yet. So, and the hotels, what they want is they need to be able to purchase the land, and that's what Conover will sell. A lot of our other developers on 50 want to retain the land, do a ground lease, so they were able to, so that's what's kind of limiting the hotels.
I got one question for you. The dog park, is that for just?
It's for the it's an amenity to the apartment.
Okay, it isn't like a.
You'll see, there's a future park later on. You'll see a public open that they'll dedicate the land, and it'll be a public park. I'll
Okay.
show that to you later on.
Okay, I'm just curious only because I know there's been talk on and off in the city about having a dog park, and I was just wondering if that was the.
Yes, we are working on a plan for a public dog park
Okay.
in the city.
All right,
That would be advertised as such.
okay. All right, any other questions before I open the public hearing? Hearing none, we will open the public hearing.
We got applicant.
Oh, I'm sorry, invite the applicant up to speak. Sorry about that. Yeah. So if you introduce yourself, your name and address, and any additional information you may want to add.
Sure. For the record, my name is Richard Wolfarth. I live at 1642 Bridgewater Drive in Lake Mary, Florida. I'm the engineer, the applicant, and the planner all rolled into one.
There you go.
So what I like to do is I gave Mike a brief package here. Yeah, see if that works. And it's going to describe all three sites. That's the apartments, the commercial, and the towns. And I think you'll get a better feeling about how that all fits together. And the benefit is, then you don't have to hear me again, and I'll sit back and listen. And I'll obviously be here for any questions. Hopefully. I'm not sure the FedEx commercial where the guy's sitting there going, what happens if it doesn't show up?
He had success getting the computer to log on. It's mine. There you go.
Okay, can you go ahead and start the size level, just start the show itself. That'd be great. Okay, well, Ocoee Village Center, we're excited. In fact, the last time that we were here in an official notice was at the city commission meeting back in June of last year. And as Mike explained, due to initially school issues and then now with what we're going through the virus, we've been delayed a little bit, but things are moving. The good news is we do have our developers, builders are all still in place. Everything was real good for going forward with the project. There are 3 properties that make up this site, 73.17 acres gross. You can now see from looking here, you have the apartment site that Mike's been reviewing with you. We have the commercial, which will end up being here, and then this is where the townhouses go. Looking at an aerial view of the site, you sort of get a feeling of how we all fit in, and you can see the property sitting over here with Clercon Ocoee, the 429, and other improvements there. There's the southern parcel, the northern, in the middle, so that's our total. Now, the way we've envisioned it is that you start seeing again, there's the site. As Mike mentioned before, it's a planted pine forest out there that will all be removed immediately. All 73 acres will be cleared as the first step of this project. We have 552 units. It's 320 apartments, 232 townhouses. total of 150,000 square feet, and you can see the various uses that these are the ones that are spelled out within the development order itself. This gives you a better idea of the whole project. So here's the apartments that we've been looking at, the Allure. We are rebuilding North Lakewood down to this roundabout, and this road will then get abandoned right here. And what the end benefit will be is we will now have a connection to 2nd Avenue here into the subdivision to the east, and 5th Avenue. So now we have 232 townhomes. We have our own amenity rec center right here, which will have a pool, a cabana, playground, an internal dog park for the residents, and then a play area. In addition, though, we're donating a parcel of land that will end up being a city park. That park was recently designed by the city, and this is now the plan that we think we're going forward with. But we have a nice lake area, a green area, and some play areas right here. This is not only just for the residents of our project, but this will service the area for recreational uses. We have a commercial area here. Our first step is to build this, which will be a 7-Eleven with gas. We have 12,000 square feet of commercial. What we are getting at this point, we have about 4 or 5 of the users out of 8 that are pretty well fixed. We will build this project right here, right at the very beginning. So again, we'll clear the site, we'll realign and build the road, put all our utilities in, get all our water management systems in, fill all the property, and we will build this portion of the commercial, build all 320 apartments, and build all 232 townhomes.
I just want to say, as part of the land clearing of the full, under the contract, the property owners will utilize their agricultural exemption and log it.
Yes.
So it'll be cleared under a logging permit with the forestry, and then they'll utilize that to then move forward with the site development.
That was gonna be my question,
Yes.
are you logging?
Yeah, we are definitely logging. It's a plus for everybody. There's the roundabout here at Fuller Cross. Here's the extension of the existing North Lakewood. Again, we're realigning the road, so it'll come up to here, hit Clerico and Ocoee. This is our commercial on the corner, 7-Eleven, strip center. These are our townhomes. So again, you can see the physical connection to the east here and here. We have a nice large lake over here. Now, one of the things we feel is a feature that really does tie into the whole concept of this development is that we have bike lanes that are existing already out here in Clerico and Ocoee. We are building a major pathway coming out of our apartments of 10-foot walkways from here up to Clerico and Ocoee. We continue that walkway down along here. You can see it walking where you'll be able to walk right up next to the lake area and come back in, and it's a very, very friendly, walkable community. We also have from this point here, if you go east and north, and right at this point here, there's an opening to the trail. If you go north and over, there's another opening to the trail. If you go up over here and over to the east, there's a third entrance to the trail. So within like about a mile, 1 mile, 1.5 mile radius, we have 3 potential connections to the trail that are connected by mainly existing bike paths, walkways, and our goal is to enhance that to make that very usable for everybody. This gives you an example. This is, again, we're back to the Allure. This is as you're driving up. You saw there was a cul-de-sac at the end. This is what the amenity looks like, the 10,000 square foot commercial, but the recreational area. You'll see here, it has a very, very advanced pool area, cabanas, barbecues, eating areas, little play areas back over here, plus a very extensive set of amenities for the building. So it is an upscale community. We do believe that, when you start looking at, let me come back to the park in a minute, but when we start looking at the buildings in a few moments, you'll see that these are a step above. So the rents are going to be a little bit higher, and what happens, and what we've done, and this is something that the city, and going through this whole program, there are more 1 and 2 bedroom units. There's 90% of our building is either 1 or 2. The reason for that is they're a little bit smaller units, but they're an upgraded unit, so they still become somewhat affordable. But we're not looking, this is not being geared towards families. It's being geared towards young people. From this area, it's great. You can live here, and you could work in Maitland Center. You could get downtown Orlando, and it becomes a really good way of getting around. We think this location is going to do very, very well. This is a park, and some of the staff here has actually come up with this concept. They've asked us to take a look at it. We've adopted it completely, and this is now what we're looking to do. So you've got a play area right here. You got this big green area that could be used for all kind of stuff. In essence, there's some bathrooms here, a little meeting area here. So it's backing up into the lake, but we're excited about seeing this get built. We are participating in it from donating land, and we're doing some of the work, and then the city will have some additional work done, and we've got some deals to work out, but we think that this will hopefully get done with phase one or towards the end, but it won't be something soon to come in the next 10 years, so we want to get started right away.
It was a collaboration between the urban designer we have on staff, the two urban designers, the Parks and Rec director, to kind of come up with a plan for a public park that we have to maintain. We understand how it needs to be maintained, and it provides stormwater functionality. Of course, we will take this to the city commission to get further comments on the park from them, and then finalize this new public amenity.
But again, the key issue here, this is a public park. This is not just strictly for the residents.
As part of the character overlay requirement that there's a public space, so he's meeting that criteria.
So we start looking at this, you're just getting another view of this. Here's our townhouses over here, and again, we're coming up the road. Here's the city park.
That one, show the linear, so there's also a linear park leading up to it.
Yeah. Now this again, these are just other views, looking at the project. This is again looking back at the park. This is the buildings. They're 4-story buildings, as I mentioned before. They have a nice look to them. And one of the things you'll notice is that these have been lined up. So as you're driving into the community, it's not just just blam, you're there, and there's a gate. And this is actually, we're trying to bring the whole community together. So as you're driving up towards the recreational building, you'll have a very nice view. There's parallel parking, I'll show you in a moment, in front of these buildings that you could park, walk into the unit. So we felt it'd be a very friendly community. We looked at the idea of gating or non-gating. We started with gating. After working with Peter and others, we ended up with all non-gated communities for both the townhouses and the apartments. These are the townhouses. We're excited about them. This is a client of mine.
So, Chairman, some of this will carry over to the next two public hearing items.
Yeah.
He's kind of showing them all.
Yeah.
This is a original builder of Park Square. They've been around a long time. I actually did a project with them with these buildings over on the east side of town. When initially we were coming in here, these were all going to be all one-car garages, and then we changed to all twos, and we went back and forth. This is a very tried and true product that's been built over and over again. It has a really nice look to it, and we're excited about this product being introduced here to the city. Now, the one thing that, and I'm going to go through this very quickly, but when you look at a project of this magnitude, there are benefits. I mean, the one thing that you're going to see here is we're spending about $121 million. By the time we build all the improvements you see there, build the apartments, build this, build that, it ends up being a very substantial amount, and that's the actual ad valorem base amount. Will end up being probably in about the $135 million range. That would generate for the city now $750,000. Overall, when you take schools and county and all the rest, it's about $2.5 million a year in ad valorem taxes. So it's a very significant amount of money will come into the city after we're done. Now, that doesn't even take into account all the work that we're going to be generating here. I mean, to spend $120 million in construction, obviously we're going to have a lot of people out here working for the next 3 to 5 years. And so we think it's a very important part of what we've done here. If you, that didn't look good, Mike. Bear with me a second here.
You'll think you'll have all this done in 5 years?
I think so. Yeah, actually, where we are right now, and when I get further into it, I'll show you. At this point, the townhouses, the apartments, the southeast commercial, pretty well committed to go forward. Okay, right now. We have an agreement that, again, was because of the virus that we're going through. We have the Learning Center wants to put a daycare on the corner over there. And we have a lease all but sold. So if that happens, we've had Starbucks ready to go. Then this happened. So we're believing that if you start looking at all the pieces, Walmart has even got back into the fray. Michael mentioned grocery stores. It's probably the toughest thing out here to get a grocery store. Our hope is, once we start seeing the rooftops, once we start seeing the commercial, then we'll get some people looking at it again. We believe that there's a 50-50 chance we'll see that. It is going to be the big reach, but it's clearly needed to be in the area. There is another need for another grocery store. So we have an area already allocated for it, and we're going to continue working. And Conover has some very good ties with Walmart and them, and we think that's a possibility in the future. Now, the level of service you start looking at here, again, all we're looking here is that the project meets all the criteria. Our level of service for water, wastewater, solid waste, all those areas, when we went through the review process, that was all part of the review, and this project meets and exceeds the level of services for all aspects of the concurrency check. The overlay goals, I think we've gone through those, but in essence, the concept here is to try to make this a cohesive community, and we believe the plan that we've done is actually doing that. Design principles, again, I won't go through those, but these are the principles that were established by the overlay district. We believe that we have gone through and tried to meet as many of those, and with the help of the staff here, we've achieved that. So it's going to be a project that I think we'll all be able to be very proud of. Tonight, we already talked about the Allure. Mike's going to talk to you more about the townhouses and about the Southeast Commercial. But I think by doing this, at least you all have a feeling now of how all the pieces tie together. And I'll be here to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant before we move on?
Do you want to limit it only to questions about Allure, or can we ask about?
At this point, I'm thinking I'm going to move all of the comments and everything into all three, so I don't have an issue with asking additional questions since we're going to move the comments over, all three of them.
Okay. Well, my question is, you talked about the market for the apartments, the 1 to 2 bedrooms, looking for the probably single professional or starting professional coming into the area. What is the plan or the target audience for the townhomes?
The townhomes are also an entry-level type of housing.
Okay.
What we think is really great for this area is, I've been involved now with, this will be my 4th project here in the city. And everything I've done up to now have been medium to small size lots, single family, which is, if you look at the corridor along Clerico and Ocoee, it's primarily what you see. We believe that what is happening, unfortunately, is the price of housing continues to go up.
Yeah.
Price of materials, everything about it keeps going up. Well, as you go up further and further, you lose more and more people that can afford to buy houses. So we feel that this is a nice entry-level product. And it's funny, I've gotten older as times have gone on, but to sit here and say here in 2020, this is very much entry-level at $220,000 to $250,000, but that is what we're dealing with now today. Single-family houses in this market in Ocoee is getting tougher and tougher to get it under $300,000. So at that point, you do lose a lot of buyers. So we feel that the buyer here. Secondly, if you look at what we've tried to do, we're going to have hopefully have this learning center, which will have something going on. We have the ability to get in your coffee in the morning. We hope to see some dry cleaners. We hope to have a grocery store. Mm-hmm. So this is, with all the walkability here, not only do you have that going for you, if you're living here, either in the towns or in the apartments, it's a very walkable community that you can, in the afternoon, you can walk up and get what you need.
And just to add on to that, if you look at the northern part of the city, and the reason we did these character areas is historically, Ocoee is a bedroom community to Disney and Orlando. And we have opportunities, and we have created opportunities for a lot of job in-migration with the big light industrial parks that are developing. Mm-hmm. We're seeing users, just single users, bringing in 80 higher end jobs. If you look at the north, we have the mixture of those subdivisions that are 300 to 500,000 in Weston Bay, in Preserve at Crown Point, in the Arden Parks. Mm-hmm. You have apartments on the other side of the 429. That's your 3-story garden apartment variety. You have other rooftops of subdivisions, Forest Lake Estates, Oak Trail, McCormick Reserve, Bryn Mawr, even Apopka has a subdivision on McCormick Road. Those are getting high 3s. So we're creating that mixture of development. Just to the south, all of these neighborhoods down here, all of these neighborhoods, these are the older homes, the New Deal homes, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We're providing the opportunity to incentivize the opportunity for redevelopment of those lots by bringing water and sewer. They will be able to annex into the city, receive city services. Instead of being in the suburban part of the county no one knows about, they will be within the city and have services, have high-end parks next to it. So we're taking care of those rooftops with 35, 40, 45, 50, up to 85-foot wide lots, townhome, mixture of townhome product, mixture of apartment product.
Okay, that's very helpful to know. Thank you.
Yes.
This probably doesn't matter, but what kind of construction type?
For the apartments,
Yeah, for the apartments.
they're stick.
Right.
We don't have a criteria to require block construction for the
Okay.
multifamily, yes.
Well, it does justify the pricing, so, for the
Yes.
area.
Yes, so with the amount of, the amenities, the type of amenities, and the upgraded architectural
Mhm.
features, even though they're not, albeit they're not concrete,
Yeah,
the apartments have to generate that higher rent
correct.
in order to do the deal, the land and the amenities and all the stuff we're requiring.
Now, we didn't have too much conversation about south of Fuller's Crossing beyond the roundabout. Are we gonna have similar situations we have with, on the other side of Ocoee Parker, where you pass a Dunkin' Donuts in the morning, you got the garbage trucks coming in, and there is a congestion from there to Silver Star? Is there any widening of the southern part of North Lakewood at all? Or is
No,
it
it
all
is-
from the roundabout and
Yes.
pushing the traffic through Ocoee Corner?
Yeah, you'll see as part of the workshop for the upcoming budget, a priority list.
Okay.
Generally, it will be the extension of Ocoee, Crown Point Parkway from the school all the way down to East Crown Point Road. Get that connection made, that will alleviate Ocoee Popka. It'll be the 4-laning of Clark Road, the
Okay,
west 2 lanes of
correct, on
Clark
the east
Road.
side,
It will be McGuire Road Phase 5, and it will be Lakewood. We are gonna program Lakewood to be that arterial road like Clark Road and Ocoee Popka. We'll get it from
Okay.
Fuller's Cross going north. The county has maintenance over Lakewood from Fuller's Cross south to, near Blueford, where we have a new public lift station over
Okay.
there. That's all under county's maintenance. It's all county properties on both sides. So we will make an emphasis on Lakewood Avenue going forward in our comp plan. It will not be put in the 5-year CIP to design and engineer. We don't have the right-of-way for it, but we will have that first northern leg, so people will understand what it's gonna be.
Yeah, because you can imagine, people, they're going to start avoiding the 429 because it's a paved road and start using North Lakewood Ave to either come
Yes.
home or go out back to the
Yes.
southern side, like taking the 4-way.
And we are, City of Winter Garden is providing improvements to East Crown Point Road near Fuller's Cross.
Yeah,
We have, just the last commission meeting, did the final budget amendment to begin the turn lanes in all 4 directions at Fuller's Cross and Ocoee Popka. So you'll now have dedicated left turn lanes at the intersection in all directions, which will allow the more free flow of the cars going north-south. Those 2 items will help. If we can get the connection of Ocoee Crown Point Parkway done with the school board when they do the West Side Tech, that'll alleviate a lot of traffic going to the school, and so that will help.
okay,
But yes, we do want people we want people to see this and start using Lakewood
correct.
as a parallel
Oh, it will.
facility to Ocoee Popka,
Yeah,
because it's a nice drive. It's a
Correct.
steady drive.
Correct.
Additional questions?
You have all the trips and everything for this, it has enough trips and?
Yes, so as part of the large-scale comprehensive plan amendment, changing the land uses from low density, all three parcels, to high, medium, and commercial, they had to do a full traffic study, which was reviewed by DOT, Expressway Authority, Orange County, Winter Garden, Apopka, and really the work being done on Lakewood and that realignment, that's helping a lot of the traffic issues in the roundabout. Roundabouts are expensive. It is better than a four-way stop in the long run, so sort of those mitigations are being mitigating instances or circumstances are being taken care of. We could not, because the intersection improvements at Ocoee Popka Road and Fuller's Cross were already funded, it's a joint project between the city and county, we cannot require him to pay any mitigating because it was already funded. So this road alignment, the widening, the roundabout, the turn lanes, the intersection improvement that will take at Claricone Ocoee satisfied the level of service needs.
Actually, this is just for conversation purpose. That's just a good idea that from North Lakewood going through Ocoee, Clark Corner, that access point is going to be open to get to the apartment on the other side. So now we have a traffic light already for the 429 and just one east.
There's a traffic light there now.
So are they going to?
It'll be four-way. Right now
Oh,
it's
correct.
three-way.
So I'm assuming if you're traveling from going north on Lakewood, going to the apartment, you're going to have a right turn only, or because right turn only make a
Good
U-turn?
question. You've got all the lanes. I hope I show it in this plan.
Because you imagine what,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because
You see here, so you have a straight through, you'll have a right out, a left out, a straight through, and the same thing on the
no lights
south side. Yeah, this is a signalized intersection already.
on that corner. Okay, so we're still gonna be that curve around, so where the trucks park all the time, that's not gonna be
That's
open?
gone, that becomes.
That's gonna
hopefully
close,
the-
okay, so
that
it's still gonna hit
becomes
that
the-
right?
yes.
Okay,
Where the park is and all
Okay.
that stuff.
Yes,
okay, so we're gonna utilize that signalized intersection there?
yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Is that road gonna stay like it's 25 miles an hour right up into town?
Hopefully,
I mean, isn't that what it is now?
yes.
right?
There's some sections in the county that are 35.
Like when you get up to 80 minutes?
80 mims, yes.
And all that stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
We want constrained roads. We want people to slow down. We want pedestrians to feel like they're wanted and to get up to this park. As we get ownership of Lakewood and as we
Yep.
design it and fund
Yep.
it, it'll have wide walks 8 to 10 foot all the way down.
Nice.
That's good stuff.
And then in the future, there will be a connection, Worst Road, as you get to Lakewood, as you cross into that development, is called Cleaner Cove. But that is programmed in our comprehensive plan to be extended to Ocoee Popka,
Oh,
to
okay.
provide an east-west connector. We own most of the land when we purchased the Rogers property,
Yep.
Commissioner, but there's one piece in front we do not own. So,
Is that one of those townhomes we did a couple months ago, right? Where and there were some townhomes we're putting on
Lakewood,
Lakewood there?
that's south, that's more near Mobile Lane,
Oh,
Yeah.
little 26-unit townhome that.
EMG Estates.
So when that development comes in, they'll build their section of sidewalk, so we'll have there's already is a sidewalk along there, but you'll start getting this development from the south into the north, and as our downtown takes its final shape, we're getting calls from people looking for land, they want to be a part of the downtown and in the vicinity, so.
All right, additional questions? At this point, what we'll do is we will open the public hearing. I'll take it off there, I'll give people some time to dial in. Again, that number, is 407-554-7118, or email at citizens@ocoee.org. And we'll give you some time to give us a call or an email there. It's gonna be nice when it's done.
As a side note, I particularly am encouraged by the opportunities for the high school students, probably, hopefully, to have jobs near the school, with the commercial that's there. Having two boys who graduated from Ocoee, that is something that they appreciated the most about the developments, the commercial developments around the school, is that they could, they could literally walk from school to a job and, not have to, for those who didn't, have a car or whatever, they could get employment. So that was, that's a plus in my eyes.
We've got the area along West Road is changing. I mean, there's a storage facility going up, but there's retail strip near it, in front of it. We've got Publix has, the police department and fire department no longer have a office out of the Public Center. They've got those units leased. There's an out parcel that I think was purchased by one of the health for an urgent care in the future.
Oh, that would
But
be
as we
nice.
get where the Dunkin' Donuts and the retail, strip retail and the Dollar Tree, across the road there's a vacant parcel. We have the daycare, which still has land next to it that's ready. It has a stormwater pond. So we'll start filling in these uses with restaurants and retail. We'll see what happens post-pandemic, but there's a lot of opportunity for growth for commercial. Then now you'll have on the other side of the 429, all these opportunities.
You just
Is
need,
there-
go ahead.
I'm trying to remember if there's a bank over there. Is there a bank?
There is, there's a
SunTrust.
SunTrust. Did it go out, did it close or is it still?
No, it's for lease. I actually have a client that wants to buy it, but they only want to lease it, so.
Yes.
The Fifth Third, I think, went out of business.
Yes.
Yeah, Faith Third, yeah, that closed.
All right. Time's up there. Did we get any, do we have
Hold
any
on, I've got
emails?
a
Or-
phone call.
What?
We got someone on the phone.
We do have a phone?
We don't have any emails, but
Bear with us while we connect them over.
What's gonna happen is he's gonna transfer the phone to Kathy.
Yep.
Kathy will put the phone on
On speaker.
speakerphone and we'll listen to the comment
All right.
and interact that way.
The new way
Sounds
of doing
good.
business.
Good, thank you. One moment, please. Okay, great. I'm going to put you on speaker so you can speak to the commission, okay? Hold on, one moment, please.
All right. Good evening, and let us know your name and address and what comments you have.
My name is Larry Anderson. I live at 108 Anderson Place, Ocoee, Florida. Right there at the turnabout you guys talking about, you got that school right there, and in the afternoon, that school backs up down that road. So I was wondering about that, and semis comes down Ocoee, that road, Crown Point Road. You got enough room for a semi to turn around that thing? That's two questions. So that's all I need to say.
Good questions. With regards to the Montessori school, they have purchased land along Fuller's Crossroad. If you can put your, okay. And we are reviewing a plan to provide a second access point from Fuller's Crossroad through the property to the school. So that will be, create a really long queuing line for the school. It'll take the cars off of Lakewood because they line up along the side. We have a police officer there, and it'll bring them through the entrance off Fuller's Crossroad. So that will help that situation immensely. And we're reviewing that site plan right now. With regards to semis, it will have, the roadway will be divided, wide lane, sufficient room for turn off. There'll be no room to park overnight anymore. This box shows the wrong plan to show, but you can see there's turn lanes. There's sufficient room to go in behind what will be the future grocery store. That'll be a pad ready. It won't have asphalt, but there's room to maneuver and obviously access these commercial sites back of house with the trucks.
That
And the roundabout is designed to FDOT standard, thank you. The roundabouts are designed based off the roundabouts that FDOT presently has in place, which meets, so what happens is the turning radius of the semi, there's a mountable curb if needed. These roundabouts are on 44 going into the land. There's one in front of a Walmart in the land where the District 5 office is. It's based off of the DOT's roundabout design criteria. Good questions.
Yeah, which also explains why roundabouts are so expensive.
Yes. You just don't have the maintenance of the traffic signals, which is nice.
Yeah. All right. I thank you very much for the question. All right. Do we have any other calls, or again,
That's it, no more calls.
All right, we don't have any emails?
No emails.
All right, so hearing that, we're going to close the public hearing, bring it back for a vote. Let's see, on this one, we just need one.
These are all just site plan related, so there's just the one motion.
Yeah, there's one motion at this point. So can I have a motion to recommend either approval or disapproval of the large-scale preliminary final subdivision plan for project LS 2019-07?
So move for recommending approval of LS-2019-007.
Second.
And we have a motion by Vice Chair Williams. We have a second by Member Lumnick. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries? All right. And that moves us on to the Ocoee Village Center Southeast Commercial, public hearing for that. Again, a preliminary final large-scale site plan. And Director of Development Services Director, Mike Rumor, will turn it back over to you again.
Yes, and we'll carry forward the developer's presentation. But again, this is a commercial center which is on the south side of Cleric on Ocoee Road. It'll be just on the east side of the new realigned Lakewood Avenue. It's 4.71 acres. There's this southeast commercial takes up 3 commercial, I say tracks, uses. There's a 4,650 square foot 7-Eleven. This, I've met with 7-Eleven with Conover. This is 7-Eleven's new prototype. It's sort of the racetrack Wawa concept, larger footprint, more food made to order, more employees. There's a 14,000 square foot strip retail building, which would be similar in size to what you have going up on West Road. It's got the ability to have a drive-through on the end. So like if you look at the one we have at McGuire and 50, you've got the Smoothie King on the end. You have that drive-through. So you have the opportunity to have office retail restaurants with a drive-through in that 14,000 square foot strip building. And then there's a third pad for a quick service, fast food, and I think the other word, fast casual I have up there. That's it, fast casual restaurants. On the west side of the 429, we have a Taco Bell and a Wendy's. We've got 4 McDonald's in Ocoee already. Don't know what, in the area, we have a McDonald's just on West Road, at Ocoee Apopka. So you have the ability to have, and what this development does is it provides this new extension of 2nd Street from the unincorporated where they can come in and use crosswalks, get on the commercial site. They can now access Lakewood Avenue, the new public park. So this facilitates bringing water and sewer down to this connection point, so we can then plan for those residences in the future to connect. This is the footprint of the 7-Eleven you have in there to show. There's no gas stations in the area. You presently have to drive down to Clark Road or go over to down at Franklin. This is the retail. You can see the ability to have that drive-through. We did a similar one on State Road 50, a 3-unit. It has a Huey Magoo's chicken tenders, a Dickey's barbecue, and a cell phone carrier. Then this is the 4,000 square foot, which is a large for a quick service restaurant and fast casual. The signage will complement the entryway into the Ocoee Village Center PUD that you'll have at the corners. Really not much else. It all ties into master stormwater ponds, which will be built in various phases and along Lakewood Avenue, makes a nice linear park, linear with a waving 10-foot path, and that's really kind of it for the commercial. This doesn't have any school capacity issues. It creates that. You can see there's a dedicated turn lanes straight through, double left at Cleric and Ocoee, a left into Second Street, so now these residents are able to utilize this and not have to go up to the end and around on Cleric and Ocoee to at Adair Street and stuff like that. Or think of the road where the church is, what that name of that road is, but gives them opportunity to walk, bike, and not have to get along. You know, Cleric and Ocoee has the bike path, so it's not as dangerous, but allows them that opportunity.
What's the difference in this spot and the one where Dunkin' Donuts is over there? Was there a pump restriction, like you're talking you can put a wall on
Yes.
it or something like
Yes,
that?
here. With the Weston Bay Commercial Center on West Road, with that mixed-use development, we were seeking to have the gas stations that more align with the smaller ones on McGuire that have neighborhoods right up against them, back right up to neighborhoods. So that one has a fueling position limitation to, I think, 12, so that would be 6 pumps. This will have the 8, I think 16 fueling positions. Yeah, 8. So we didn't put that provision here because it's right up on the 429.
Yeah.
And as much as we want to create a sense of place, we want this to be as a successful interchange requiring the hotel. So we didn't limit the fueling positions here. And you've got this ring road behind, you've got buffer, public park to the townhomes to the south. It's a good question.
All right. Any additional questions? As Mr. Rummer had mentioned, I'm going to move forward all of the presentation and the comments. I don't know if the comments, I know some of them were from the dais were more than just the first one, so we'll move forward with the comments as well, instead of going through all that a second time there. But if there's any additional comments before we open the public hearing.
Just kind of, when we future on the west side of Lakewood where the shopping center is,
Yes.
or we hope in the grocery store, that will come back through this process. The retail along in front of the apartments, some of those will come back through the process. They'll be constructing pad ready, but the hotel obviously would. If you have the buildings above 25,000 square feet, they will. The other ones would be small scale, because the large scale created the pad.
Yeah.
And so, but you will see other projects come through on the west side of this road.
All right.
Have you guys contracted anybody yet for the quick service?
No.
So with that, we will open the public hearing. We'll give it time for anybody who has any additional questions to give us a call in or to email us. Again, the number 407-554-7118 or citizens@ocoee.org. And as opposed to I like the idea of a fast casual or more even a casual than a fast food. Seems we get a lot of fast food, but boy, I'd sure like a few more sit-down restaurants.
You gonna give me an Olive Garden here.
One of the provisions, and we've been working on this project
Going on 3 years.
going on 3 years. So as part of the PUD, we limited the amount of residential based on how much commercial comes out.
Mhm.
So there's motivation to get commercial out of the ground.
Yeah.
So we don't have a similar like we have at the Park Place down in McGuire, the 2.5 acres sitting out there just
Yeah.
being mowed once in a while. So there's motivation to get the units, you gotta have the commercial. We limited the amount of sites for a fast food restaurant, those opportunities. There are a couple, but we limited them purposely. So,
Yeah, just be nice to see some sit down. And I think as this goes along, we're getting more and more.
you gotta understand, Ocoee Apopka Road has 14,000 daily trips.
Yeah,
West Road, less than 9,000. Claricone, Ocoee, on this side of 429, 14,000. You're gonna start getting more trips.
yeah.
But we don't have it on Highway 50 where we're now getting
Right.
back to our pre-2006 traffic levels.
So what are the trips on 50?
They're 45, 40,000. They go from 50,000 west of the turnpike, because all those trips are now getting on the turnpike, getting on the 408, getting on the 429. They go down, they were down to the 30s in front of the mall, which used to have 50, 55,000 trips. So it's back up.
Wow.
So that's why people want a Wawa at Silver Star and Clark. With 20,000 daily trips, you're not getting
Yeah.
a Wawa.
Yeah.
At least not until they go into phase 4 and 5.
Yeah, but that was what I was gonna say. Now with getting more residential in there, you've got people
Yes.
who use the restaurants and use that, and hopefully, when we go to these, all these different, shows to show what Ocoee has to offer, that
Yes.
we'll get a little bit more of a response. So,
Sure could use an Olive Garden.
You know that one
There's a road on
that's
50.
there, we've worked,
50 in Home Depot,
That's too far.
It is fun.
just be nice to get one in
By the
Ocoee then.
time you get your food, it's cold.
All right.
That's funny.
With that, let's bring the we'll ask one more time, though. Do we have any additional phone calls or emails?
No emails or phone calls
No
were
phone
received.
All right, so at this point, we will close the public hearing, bring it back up to the dais. Again, we're going to just need one motion for this. And this one is, can I get a recommend for approval or denial of a large-scale preliminary final site plan for project LS 2019-09?
I make a motion.
Okay, have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Member Lubnick, a second by Member Forges. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
Point
the-
of clarification,
Yes,
was that for recommending approval, right?
Those recommend approval?
Okay.
All right.
So aye.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, carried. All right. And that brings us to the Ocoee Village Center Townhomes public hearing. Again, another preliminary final large-scale subdivision plan. And again, we'll move all the comments forward for this one, since it is the same project, instead of having to go through all the viewing again. So with that, Director Rummer, we'll turn it over to you.
so this is a multi-phase. The roads will be constructed. It's just the phasing of the houses, kind of how they have their plan up to 232 lot townhome development, 2 building sizes, a 6-unit with 31-foot wide and 20-foot wide interiors. Second is a 4-unit building. Private amenity center with a pool, cabana, playground, dog park. That'll be access code through a gate. The roads will be public, and we'll have 2 entrance points at the realigned North Lakewood, where the roundabout will be, and also an extension off of Fifth Avenue for vehicles. Pedestrians and bicycles will also be able to use Second Avenue, which will just border it to the north. An off-site park, which I had explained was designed with the applicant and city staff, including Parks and Rec, is being provided in this center. So you have the Lakewood, Fuller's Cross, you have the access here, which goes through to Fifth, all public roads. You have the main kind of sort of boulevard entry point, go looking into the amenity center. You have this stormwater pond with a wide linear park trail winding through, leading right up to, this is the public park. This is the footprint of the park has changed, you'll see later on, and as you saw in the diagram. You have stormwater, you have open space in between, pedestrian accesses through the development. Park Square Homes. Park Square did a lot of the townhome developments along Clark Road, and I don't know where else where they've built single family, but I know they did a lot of the townhomes along Clark Road. Little blow up of the amenity center, and you've got wide right-of-way, wide sidewalks, which will continue into the development. This is the park system. It's sort of tiered. It provides water retention, and it has the amenities, the grass area, it has this trellis, it has appropriate and sustainable and low maintenance characteristics to the park, Florida-friendly, low water use plants. It has, will have its own parallel parking, off-street parking adjacent to it for the public, wide sidewalks leading to it. You can sort of see these are the lines for.
So are you gonna be restricting this building to the, for the commercial to get in, is what you're talking about?
So the amount of multifamily units and the amount of townhomes are based off the amount of commercial that comes in.
You're not restricting their starts for the commercial, right? Is that-
Not, no, just the number of permits we will issue. So at some point, they'll get to the townhomes, they'll be able to submit a bunch of them, then we'll say, okay, your commercial hasn't lined up. We'll review these townhome permits, but we're not gonna issue them until you get, and we'll have all that worked out.
Okay, yeah, you will affect their starts, okay.
Yes.
Good.
Affect, yes, the potential issuance or CO based off of how much commercial has come in, so. With that, you saw the renderings. This, as in the apartments, is kind of subject to that CEA, but it fulfills the vision of the character area by not only providing the pedestrian and bicycle access, cross-access through, it provides the public open space with the park, which will be dedicated, and the linear trail, which will be built along Clarecone, Lakewood Avenue. It brings up the water and sewer that has the capacity for other future development to tie in. It provides bike trails and wide walks. It has a continuous theme. So with that, I'll entertain any questions.
All right. Again, we moved forward. Any of the comments previously on the all of the showings? So any additional comments though after now that we have that? All right. Hearing none, I'm going to open the public hearing. Again, we'll give people time to call in. Once again, that number, area code 407-554-7118, or an email to citizens@ocoee.org.
And Commissioner Keller was always asking me this question, so I wanted to bring it out early. There is a lot of on-street parking within the townhome developments.
I was waiting for him to ask.
I forgot in the previous townhome development to show the off-street parking.
Yeah.
So
I didn't want to steal your thunder.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I did forget about that too, but, yeah, but that is one of the things that we do need, so,
Well, that's one of the ways to avoid people parking on the sidewalks
yes.
yeah,
in their garages
yeah,
and forcing our kids to go behind the cars and get hit.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and the other beautiful thing, because even when I was on the planning and zoning before I was on commission, one of my biggest things is we need where you're close to either the schools or the trails, you need to have wide sidewalks so that parents can walk their children. If you're within a walking distance of a school, because you're just too close, I guess, what is it, 2 miles?
Yes.
It's nice
Safe routes
to
to
have
schools.
kids and parents be able to ride on the sidewalk next to each other instead of trying to line up one by one on the 4-foot wide sidewalk. So it's great to see 8 to 10 foot wide sidewalks there. So that's also another thing that I'm very happy to see. Okay.
Give it another minute or so here, and then we'll bring it back up.
We've got some exciting things happening up in this area besides all the rooftops and the mixture of developments. We have a very high-end baseball training facility going in off of Dare Road, partnering with the city where the park is, the Sorensen Fields.
Very nice.
And this academy, high school level baseball training facility, they bring in not only smaller colleges to scrimmage during the nice seasons, which they will be coming to Ocoee
Yeah.
in those fields, but they also bring prospects. They bring in baseball, professional, I forget the name of what they come in and look at prospects.
Yeah, they come to
Scouts.
look at the
Scouts, thank you,
yeah.
scouts. Scouts come in, they typically, they find their niche is bringing them in early in the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and watch their players perform. These players get signed on to major league contracts and all the top colleges. That is now located officially in Ocoee, broke ground on it. It's called the Next Level Baseball Academy. That's just down Claricona and Adair, so we're trying to utilize that. They've had a very successful tournament with a lot of teams pre-COVID, showing that need for hotels, that we can get these midweek rooms from these schools that travel, and the tournaments and the scouts that will be using these rooms midweek, which is an important time. So,
Very nice. All right, we have not heard from anybody else, but I will ask, do we have any additional emails or phone calls?
No emails, no phone calls.
All right, thank you. At this point, we will bring back to the dais, we'll close the public hearing, bring back to the dais. And again, we only need one motion, so can I get a motion to recommend either approval or disapproval of a preliminary final subdivision plan for project LS-2019-05?
Make a motion for approval.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion by Member Lumnick, a second by Vice Chair Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It carries unanimous again. So with that, we will say thank you very much for all of that.
Well, thank you very
We're
much.
welcome to the neighborhood once again. All right, with that, that takes us to the miscellaneous project status reports or the May calendar.
as we continued the hotel to the June meeting, we will not have to advertise and do the notices, so we will have a June meeting. I will have some land development code, some really good stuff, roll your sleeves up stuff coming up. Don't know if they'll be ready by June, but we'll get it here before the end of summer. And the development-wise, we have a lot of development happening. We have Clark Road is under construction. If you go to McCormick Road and head down Clark next to Kensington Manor and the part of the extension Rick did with the development, McCormick Reserve, Arden Park is working diligently to punch that through all the way to Claricona, Ocoee. Finish that, do the west 2 lanes at Claricona, Ocoee. That's
Is that going to be
exciting.
4 lanes up to McCormick?
No, it is 4 lanes from Claricona, Ocoee up to about Trout Lake Road where the Arden Park entrance is.
Okay,
And then from there it's 2 lanes
okay.
going up to where
Up to McCormick.
it was, yeah, it's already received in a 2 lane
Right.
with a turn lane, so that's exciting. We have a lot of interior build-outs we're doing along 50. The hospital's doing a lot of expansion and moving some things around. The Arden Park subdivision, Mattamy, we've heard from some of the builders, they're gonna kind of slow down. They're not gonna do spec, but I got a request to drop 20 permits in from Lennar this week. So some of the others are still going really gangbusters there.
What's that pad going across from the Top Gun deal?
That will be a small office warehouse. That's part of our success of our downtown, a business moving into Ocoee. and he's moving his business. He'll have a small office, small warehouse, and then have 3 other little leasable spaces. And then we're working on a site plan just next to it on the north side. And they're dedicating some right-of-way. We have a design we're finishing up, and I'll show you at a later date, for Blueford. Basically, that sort of that downtown Blueford feel, carrying it all the way down to Old Winter Garden Road. We have finalized the design for the city's park at Blueford and Old Winter Garden. It's an old DOT. They transferred ownership maintenance to us. We have a design for a park. We're working on funding grants to get that going.
What about
Sonny's, I just checked. I asked about a revision to the site plan. Yes, so we're looking forward to that revision to their site plan coming in any day. So it's under small-scale site plan review. You know, the infrastructure's there, so it shouldn't be, we should get that revision at any time. So, I don't know if you've been down Tommen Boulevard at McGuire, there's the Inspiration, that road's just about done, leading up to the Inspiration. They've put most of the infrastructure in for that little town, 90-unit townhome development. They've got permits ready to be issued for the first 4 buildings. The commercial over there is still moving forward, going vertical. For Roberson Road, we have the 55 or older apartment, the Araya, which will be accompanied by the ALF next to it. That's under construction. We've got a lot going on, so very exciting.
Isn't there an office pad coming up on that area next to that school? The preparatory school?
The one that's there existing?
No, for some reason I thought I saw a pad,
The
office pads coming up next to that school on Tomlin's, going towards, like back to the 429.
Is that the Inspiration that you're talking about?
That's
Yeah.
a park, so
No, and they're actually office pads. If you go on
When you're heading over the bridge on McGuire,
over
heading
the bridge,
south.
make that first right.
Yes.
Next to the preparatory, that
Yeah,
school
that's
there.
yeah, that's the commercial part of it.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
yes.
Well, there's office pads, right?
They have retail and office. pads.
Return office
Yes.
pads, okay.
Now, on the west side of that existing I can't think of the name.
Yeah,
of it.
the academy
Yeah,
or some
that
sort, yeah.
is approved for offices, but there's nothing proposed yet.
Okay, so that's what I thought.
Yeah, they have a sign still
Yeah, I
trying
thought I
to
saw
work on it.
LoopNet as office
Yeah, they-
pads, like 3,000 square feet offices.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, if we have nothing additional, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, a motion by Vice Chair Williams, seconded by Member Lomnick. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much, all. We will see you in June.
Cool.
Good night now.
Night.
Good job.